Hello and welcome to OptimisticWellness.com, the Real Story interview series. And today I have the illustrious Therese Schwenkler. And we were just talking beforehand. Her name is spelled Therese, but it is pronounced Teresa, and that is very unique. So Therese
Yes, it is
Schwenkler.
just thoroughly confuse everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So Therese Schwenkler is all about helping people get unlost in their life, hence the name of her site, theunlost.com. And paraphrasing her own words, it's about the advice for young people. It freaking sucks. That's what Therese is saying. And her goal is to bring that suckiness to an end. Her articles do have a lot of heart and passion, and they definitely help me redefine my life situations on a regular basis. And she updates her site every Monday. It's great. So I have a few quotes here from Therese's articles that really, I think capture what her site's all about. So the first quote: "The most trustworthy people talk badly of no one." That's right, no one. Not even celebrities who are 10 times removed from them. Why not? Let me say it one more time. Every little thing you say is an indicator of your character. Every little thing. Another quote: "In order to discover a true deep interest, you need to immerse yourself. You need to go out and actually expose yourself to many, many things. Things that you may have no idea beforehand whether they will interest you or not." And finally, courage is not about slaying a dragon or saving a princess or eschewing your fear. Courage is simply about putting your vulnerabilities on the line and telling your own truth, your own story with all of your heart. So with that, Therese Schwenkler, welcome.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. I love your passion and your smile. You're so happy. That's what you're all about, right? You're all about
That's
the
right,
optimism.
optimism is the only way. All right,
Yeah.
so we'll get started here. So Teresa, in your post, it's called "Stand Out or Get Out: How to Escape Mediocrity and Do the Work You Love." You create this metaphor of a box relating to our assumptions about life. And one of the key questions you wrote was to ask of yourself: is the stuff inside the box working for you as it should? Could you talk about some life experiences you had where the stuff inside the box was not working for you as you should, and how it impacted you?
Yes. That's a good question. I was wondering what you're going to throw at me today. You're going to make me
I know
think.
it's such a long preamble to that question.
Well, I see that, everywhere all the time. I think, one good example is in the workplace. Right now, and shortly I'll be leaving, but right now and for the last 3 years, I've worked in accounting job for a big corporation, and I don't have any complaints about the job. I don't hate it, but one thing I see there is it's just kind of like, okay, follow the rules. This is how we do things. And that's how it is in a lot of workplaces and in life in general. In society, I feel like people expect you to do certain things and just follow society's expectations. And it, in my experience, it's not always the most effective way to go about things. And so, in that article you mentioned, I talked about some people who have kind of taken different routes, for example, even in just getting jobs. So what's the expected path when you're applying for jobs? Okay, well, most people, maybe they go out on monster.com or Career Builder and they just, search for stuff and they're like, okay, I think I could do that. And so then they send in their resume, which looks like everybody else's resume, right? And they're probably a very smart, very capable person, but that, I guess, is an example of a method that might not work for everyone as it should, because that's the same thing everybody's doing. So, that job position is getting many applicants. All the resumes probably look the same, and this smart person just gets lost in the crowd. And so, for me, that's an example of something that might not be working as it should. So that's kind of questions I like to ask, which are, what's a different way to do this that might work better? And that's kind of what it's all about, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, changing gears here. In your guest post at Tiny Buddha, which is called Why Happiness Will Never Come to You, you talk openly about your struggles with severe arthritis in your mid to late teens. Well, first of all, I want to ask, how are you doing these days with that?
I'm doing great today, and I'm constantly just amazed and just so, I feel so lucky and grateful because I'm sure, as you know, I mean, you never know when tides can turn. And, but today I'm actually better than I've ever been since I was diagnosed. And I don't know how or why. It's just kind of it's kind of just grace to me. But thank you for asking.
No problem, Therese. And I'm so happy that you're doing well today. And as of late. And also, I wanted to ask, how do you feel about that? Like, the whole arthritis situation, having, like, today, looking back, having lived through such difficult adversities?
Mm-hmm. How do I feel today? I do, like I just said, I feel extremely grateful, but I often surprise myself at how easy it is to forget what you've gone through. When I'm feeling really great, a lot of times I'll go into a slight downturn, and then I'll say, oh my gosh, it just reminds me, it gives me a little twinge of how things used to be. And it is only just a little twinge of how they used to be. And that almost brings me back to my senses. And I think that's one thing that I think is really interesting about people is how easy it is to forget how lucky we are. And that happens to me all the time too. And I catch myself and I say, wow, I really need to start appreciating, what I have. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I completely agree with that. That when the health gets better, it's kind of, sometimes you forget. Like, I went through that. I can't believe I went through such a tough time. And I'm here.
Yeah. Sometimes it's almost like I unintentionally block it out sometimes. But how are you doing lately?
Oh, me? I am doing pretty fantastic. I've been experimenting with, like, I think the paleo diet, then paleo, and then thinking something along the course of vegetarian, kind of fusing them together, and feeling really well these days.
Great.
Positive thinking in general has helped me out. So thank you for asking, Teresa. So in fall of 2007, I believe you went through quite a challenging time. You wrote a lot about some of the tough things you went through on your blog. You wrote from having mediocre jobs, being bombarded by D-bag after D-bag, and finally getting sick of it all. You packed your bags. You got a year-long work visa to Australia, and you headed there a few months later. And then I believe, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but a few months after that, did you have a bout of the arthritis again? And that sucks. But how did all of these events kind of have an impact and play out in your life and, make you the Therese Schwenkler that you are today?
Yeah. So that is the story. So kind of a while after I first graduated college, I'd gone, like you said, through many different jobs because I really had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. And then, and I was at that point feeling very well also. My worst times with the arthritis were in high school. And then kind of throughout college, I improved and afterwards. And so, um, there came some point after doing all these different jobs and just constantly questioning and just constantly saying, who am I? What do I want to do with my life? And it was a very hard thing to figure out. And finally, I just kind of said, uh, you know, F it, why do I have to figure it out? I said, maybe I don't need to do that right away. Maybe I can't. Maybe it's okay not to know. And I don't know where that realization came from, but it was very, very freeing to me. And I said, what do I really want to do? And I said, I just want to go be free. I just want to go let go of all expectations and just go travel. And I just want to see what happens and wake up every day not knowing what's going to happen the next day and not having to worry about it, because in the end I realized that's what I wanted to do at the time. I didn't want to go find some job and have a white picket fence. I realized that wasn't really important to me. So yeah, I decided to take off. I didn't know what I would do once I got there, or where I would go or who I would meet, and it was very freeing. But then once I got there, it didn't turn out quite how I expected, because my health started, taking a downturn again, and it was so awesome. It was a great experience. But yeah, my health started taking a downturn, and I found myself after a few months, instead of being able to go out there and explore and have that great time that I hoped, instead I was just laying in my hospital bed, crying, and hardly able to walk across the room, and just so scared and over there by myself. And I was saying, what is happening to me? This isn't how it was supposed to turn out, right? That's what we always say in life. It wasn't supposed to be like this. And so, finally I had to come home. There wasn't really anything else I could do. I couldn't do it by myself there. And, it's hard traveling on your own. So after 3 months, I came home, and I kind of felt like I was in the same place that I started again. It was a great experience, and the first part of it, I did have an amazing time before I started feeling, worse with my health. But yeah, I found myself back at home just saying, okay, now I'm back here again, and now I'm asking the same questions again. So what am I going to do? And how did that make me who I am today? My answers are getting really long, I feel like. So
No, they're not.
Okay, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. But
no, you're not.
Okay,
really
thanks.
Great.
And I think what I learned a lot of things throughout every experience in my life, but I think what that kind of showed me is, one, yes, it is okay not to know, and it's okay to jump into the unknown. What's the worst that's going to happen to you? You know what I mean? It really freed me. And then just coming home and feeling like I was starting over again, that actually taught me something too. It's, things don't always work out how you expected, and maybe that's a lesson in itself. I kind of came to accept that, and I said, you know what, that's okay. I am where I am, and this whole weird mystery of life, who's to say what should or shouldn't have happened there, and who's to say what I should or shouldn't have learned. And maybe what I learned is that no matter what, I'm still just right here. And maybe it's some weird answerless answer. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It made plenty of sense, Theresa. Thank you. And yes, I have felt similar things. You hit it spot on. So, you've also actually shared a lot of empowering views on, in particular, women and relationships in your blog. You wrote this excellent article called how Cosmopolitan Magazine is misleading a generation of young women. Just thought it was a great read. So, how did you come to adopt these empowering beliefs about relationships, whether it's through, books that you read, personal experiences, and how can women and even men, go about adopting similar beliefs?
Good question.
Thanks.
It really, my beliefs really developed over time, and they still are strengthening. And I think what it really came from for me was having been there. So I guess I feel like throughout most of my life, I was really looking to other people to define me, other people and my environment, my situation, to kind of tell me who I was, because I really didn't know. I don't think I knew it at the time that I didn't know. But looking back, I had no clue who I was. And so, yeah, I really got that definition from everyone around me. And I think, I was very, very shy when I was younger, and I really was not very cool at all. Like in elementary school or junior high, and then, in high school, I was going through the whole arthritis thing, and that was a big struggle. And so there came a point when I kind of started to figure things out, which was not really figure things out, but figure out like, oh, hey, like I can get some guy's attention. Like, oh, that feels really nice. Like, okay, so he likes me, or, and I hadn't really had that before, I hadn't really felt like I'd fit in before. And so when I started figuring out how to get guys' attention, which was really kind of in following society's view of that, I really was influenced by Cosmo Magazine, and I thought, oh, look at them, they're hot, all the guys like them, so I need to be like that. And so for a while I kind of followed that, and I was like, okay, I'm getting some validation, this is who I am, because that's where that definition was coming from for me. I was always looking to other people. And so in the sense of relationships, I was looking to guys' reactions. And I had no self-definition in that way. And so for a long time, that was just kind of how I lived. I just kind of sought after someone else's validation. And I think you're right, that's true whether you're a woman or a man, everybody kind of...
Oh yeah, men go after women's approval all the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be in the sense of relationships. I mean, it's really anything that you're taking from outside of yourself and kind of seeking, and you're thinking it's a part of who you are, or a part of so what defines you, and it's not. And so how did that change? That's a good question. I don't think there was one defining moment. I think, and I really can't say how it changed, but just kind of over time, I think I just started to gain a better sense of myself, and I just kind of realized slowly, and I still am realizing, okay, this is who I am. I am this person who's passionate about this and this and this, and I'm this person who is unbelievably worthy just because I'm alive, and everybody else is too. And I don't know where that came from. So I don't think I have a good answer for you. And I don't even know if I just answered your question.
Therese, you give like these brilliant answers, just brilliant, amazing insights, and then you say, I don't know if it's a good answer. It's an amazing...
No. I know it's a good answer, but the thing is, I almost kind of forget what you asked in the first place, and then I'm
answered
the
question.
I think I just answered your question. I don't know. So you can always ask more if I didn't touch on something.
Okay, it was excellent.
Thank you.
So, um, so, oh, let's talk about more present day stuff, like what's
Okay.
going on in your recent life. So
All
you're
right. Let's
getting
hear.
ready for another journey in your life. Starting in April, you're actually going to be leaving Boise, Idaho, where you're at right now, I believe, to start traveling around the country. Uh, well, first of all, there was an event that I want to talk about right as when you talk to your boss.
Okay.
How did you get the courage to
Oh,
confidently walk up to your boss in your accounting job and
yeah.
say, "I'm leaving in April," without a hint of doubt in your soul?
That is a good question. And that's kind of a funny story. It's kind of funny you ask because, um, okay, I'm thinking of where to start here.
Okay, take your time.
I, I mean, the funny thing is I didn't really plan it. I mean, I did, but I didn't. So here's what happened. Sometime in December, um, I was driving home from having dinner with a friend, and I'd always known that this job wasn't what I was going to do forever. But I wasn't in any rush to leave. I just kind of wanted to let things fall into place how they may. I wasn't planning on making any bold, sudden moves and jumping shit. I kind of figured, you know what, I'm going to keep doing my Unlost thing on the side, and I'm going to see what opportunities develop from there, and I'm sure it will just all fall into place. I know I'm not going to be at this job forever. Um, and so that had been my plan beforehand. And then all of a sudden, like I said, I was driving home in December, and then all of a sudden something hit me like this strike of lightning. and it, and I just suddenly got this thought in my head. Don't know where it came from, and it just said, all right, it's time for you to leave your job. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I have to pay for my mortgage, and I have to make money because I'm not making a living off my blog right now. I'm not. You still there?
Yeah, sorry about that. Pump is my
No
pump
problem.
started. My pump very rudely interrupted you. Please continue.
Oh.
You were just talking about how you had to pay your mortgage, the struck of lightning.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I said, oh, I can't do that. I have to have a job. And then I said to myself, no, no, you don't. You can just rent out your house. You can cover your mortgage. You have money in savings, and and it sounded really crazy to me at the time because it just said, I just got this thought that was like, quit your job and go travel around the country. And I said, oh, that's crazy. And but I kind of knew I was going to do it. It was just this weird knowing, like, okay, I guess that's what I'll do then. And so it was a week later. Like I said, I kind of had this knowing I was going to do it, but I was still trying to sift through things in my mind because I felt so crazy, and I was like, why am I doing this? And it was the weirdest thing. I just went into work one day, like I said, about a week later, and I wasn't planning on telling my boss that day or anything. But as I sat there at my desk, all of a sudden, I had another thought just come in my head like lightning, and it just said, all right, today's the day. You go tell your boss. And I was like, okay. So I scheduled an Outlook meeting for like an hour later, and I just walked into the room and I said, hey, um, I'm leaving in April. And it was weird. I don't know why I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even planning on doing it that day. It was almost like I was watching a movie of myself. So there's the long answer to the short question.
And here at the Real Story interview series, we like that very much. So thank you. So to conclude this interview, I have one more question.
Okay.
And here it is. So you have a quote on your blog. It says, "Every day I am crumbling more apart and yet falling more together, all at the same time." very interesting quote. Now, I was wondering, to conclude this interview, could you talk a little bit more about that quote, or any thoughts you have on getting unlost in life?
Yeah, of course. So that quote was written in my article about, going to Australia and then coming back home and still not knowing the answers. And that was probably about somewhere close to a year ago that I wrote that. Well, less than that, but. And it really just is about letting go of my need to know all the answers, and just saying, wow, this whole life is just a huge mystery. I don't know where I'm going exactly. I mean, yeah, I'm all for having, goals or having a vision and in one way or another knowing where you want to go. But at the same time, you don't know exactly what path you're going to be led on ever. And I think as humans, we just have this weird compulsion to want to know. And I think that's very natural. But it's impossible. We can't know, and we can't plan. I mean, we can plan to an extent, but you can't plan your life. And so just kind of letting go of that and almost just crumbling apart, and just building or feeling or trusting that faith beneath you that it will all come together is really what that quote's about. And that's exactly what I did. And here I am a year later, and I never could have imagined what I'm doing now. And I know in another year, I have no clue where I'll be either. And I'm excited about that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to follow the Unlost and see what you're going to be doing, because it's going to be great. So, thank you so much, Teresa. So where can we contact you?
Thank you. Where can you contact me? That's a great question also. I know I say that after every question. Well, as you said, my website is www.theunlost.com. And for the time being, I actually kind of turned off my contact form because things are too crazy right now. And I've been getting a ton of emails. I love talking with people, though. So, if you'd like to email me, check back a little later, or just figure out a more sneaky way to get a hold of me. You can always tweet to me, or just contact Josh and ask him how to find me.
That's right. What's your Twitter handle, by the way?
It's T Schwenkler. So that's hard to spell, but
SCHWENKLER.
Yep.
All right. So thank you so much, Therese Schwenkler. I appreciate you joining the Real Story. Yep. The Real Story interview series. Optimism is the only way.